A crash in Cedar City closes down I-15. St. George City asks for the dismissal of the drag show lawsuit, and a hero saves a woman's life after a crash.
You're watching St. George News at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Amy Bennett. A crash on I-15 in Cedar City closed all lanes traveling northbound for around 3 hours on Friday night. Here's Jeff Richards with more on what caused the collision.
A two-vehicle crash resulted in a semi-tractor trailer being jackknifed across the northbound lanes of Interstate 15 in Cedar City on Friday evening. Utah Highway Patrol said the driver of a sedan was attempting to exit the freeway when she lost control and hit a guardrail. The driver of the approaching semi then crashed while trying to avoid hitting the car. No serious injuries were reported. The incident shut down northbound I-15 to traffic between exits 57 and 59 for about 3 hours.
Thanks, Jeff. In May, the Southern Utah Drag Stars filed a lawsuit against the city of St. George, alleging that there was discriminatory behavior by the city officials towards the LGBTQ+ community. However, the city officials are currently seeking the dismissal of the lawsuit. Maury Kessler provides further details on this unfolding story.
Last month, attorneys for the city of St. George filed a motion in federal court asking for a case brought against the city by drag show producers to be dismissed. The attorneys argue that a drag show that was originally denied by city officials was still able to take place, and that policies related to the original drag show's denial by the city have since been repealed and replaced, and that because of that, the lawsuit should be dropped. Last summer, Southern Utah Drag Stars and the American Civil Liberties Union of Utah sued the city of St. George in U.S. District Court over the denial of a special events permit for a drag show that was to be held on public property earlier that year. The city had originally approved the permit for the event, yet revoked it following event organizers running afoul of advertising policy the city had for special events. The ACLU and Southern Utah Drag Stars filed a lawsuit against the city, arguing that their First Amendment rights were violated, and also asked a judge to force the city to allow the drag show to continue, which he did. That drag show happened at the Dixie Sun Bowl in St. George on June 30th. Meanwhile, the St. George City Council and city staff worked on the city's special events policy and ended up repealing and replacing parts of it that played a part in the lawsuit. As the drag show still took place and the policies that resulted in the original event's denial have been done away with, attorneys for the city argue that points made in the lawsuit are now moot and want the case dismissed.
Thanks, Maury. In a critical moment near Quail Creek State Park on December 16th, a man made a quick decision that saved a woman's life. 48-year-old Ryan Barrowman, a doctor of nursing at Desert Edge Medical, encountered a woman in distress after her vehicle overturned on I-15 while she was pulling a U-Haul trailer. Acting swiftly, Barrowman began performing life-saving CPR on the woman until medical assistance could arrive. When the ambulance crews took over the scene, Barrowman stayed and did everything he could to keep the situation under control. Barrowman has not had any contact with the woman whose life he suspects that he saved that night, but hopes that she is doing well, and part of him is hoping that she will see this and he will be able to find out that she is okay. The Ivan City Council had a meeting on Thursday with a few new faces to discuss the road repairs for the Kayenta community. Here's Chris Reed with more on the conference.
The Ivan City Council had a new look for its first meeting of 2024 Thursday night, with 3 new members of the 5-person council. Sharon Gillespie, Kevin Smith, and Sharon Barton were sworn in at the start of the meeting and quickly got into the thick of a debate over who should pay to fix a 50-foot private stretch of Covassa Road, leading to the Kayenta Art Center. The developers of Kayenta said they would donate the private road filled with potholes to the city, but wanted the city to pay $45,000 of the $50,000 repair bill. Some council members felt Kayenta should foot more of the repair bill, but ultimately agreed to the World acquisition, repair bill and all.
Thanks, Chris. A man made it his mission to cycle through all 51 national parks to raise awareness for how climate change could damage the parks. St. George News reporter Stephanie DeGraw sat down with him to talk about his journey and what he hopes to accomplish.
Riding a bike for 18,000 miles to raise awareness of how climate change is affecting national parks brought one man to southern Utah. Spencer McCullough had been on the road since April of 2023. He had this to say.
I've really enjoyed my time riding through Utah so far. I have a lot more to see. But what I've seen so far has been great. I just hope the next time I ride by, the national parks will have hiker-biker spots, shared sites where cyclists can stay that are cheaper than reserving a whole spot for themselves. And adding these sites doesn't cost any money. It just requires taking away one spot and making it for non-motorized users.
And now I'm going to send it over to Cannon Seekers to give us the breakdown of what happened this past week in sports.
Thanks, Amy. In Region 9 boys basketball, the game of the week was Crimson Cliffs at Snow Canyon, and this one did not disappoint. With just over 7 seconds to play in the fourth quarter, the Mustangs led 74-72. The Warriors inbounded the ball to Owen Mackey, who passed to his teammate, only to ask for the ball right back and knock down the game-winning three. The Warriors snagged their first win in region, and the Mustangs fell to 0-2. Cedar played at Desert Hills, and the Thunder put on an impressive shooting performance beyond the arc, knocking down 11 threes in the first half and ended the game with 17. The Thunder improved to 1-1 in region and handed the Reds a loss in their first region game. And last, Dixie played Hurricane at home and beat the Tigers with a 47-point deficit. The leading scorer for the Flyers was Kyle Lemke, who ended the night with 1 point shy of 30. The final score to this one was 87-40 for the Flyers. And in Region 9 girls basketball, Cedar beat Desert Hills 50-32. The Reds came out swinging in the second half and outscored the Thunder 15-4 in the third quarter. The Reds were led by sophomore Gabby Gomez, who finished the game with 22 points. Snow Canyon beat Crimson Cliffs 58-39 on the back of Olivia Hamlin, who had 19 points, and her teammate Kelly Howard, who dropped 18 in the game as well. And the last game for high school girls basketball had Dixie beating Hurricane 51-44. The game was tied going into the fourth quarter 35-35, but the Flyers outscored the Tigers 16-9 in the fourth and came away with a 51-44 win. And getting away from high school basketball, Utah Tech's 2024 football schedule has been released. This should make for a good season as first-year head coach Lance Anderson is taking over the team following a 2-9 season in 2023. It was a fun week for sports last week, and I'm looking forward to this week as well. Now back to you, Amy.
Thank you for watching St. George News at 5. I'm Amy Bennett with St. George News, your #1 source for local news.
This has been St. George News at 5.